Where are the deer? It's a good question, right? A lot of people are asking lately. They're posting things like this right here saying, where should I hunt? And they're catching a lot of flack for it, honestly. Probably too much. For one, if you are posting that, you need to be educated. That's why you're asking. You just want to know, right? And number two, they're telling you, hey, you need to get your feet on the ground. And they're right. You do. But let's save you some footwork. Let's spread your scent a little less as well. So if you're an individual who needs to know where to hunt, keep watching. And if you just want to get a little more educated on land navigation, pay attention. Because after 11 and a half years of teaching this in the military, transferring this over to being an outdoorsman and hunting has gone phenomenally for me. Two things you need to know when e-scouting. One, how to read a map. Two, what deer do. What are they doing? Where would they be going? First off, go into 3D. A lot of people on those comments, they're going to say, hey, get on the ground. They're also going to say, hunt the fat line. What kind of drove me to do this video here is some guy said, he asked the right question. What is the fat line? Good question. The response, though, that's what got me to make this video. Some guy said, and I don't want to give him flack, he just didn't know any better, right? He said, it's just a made-up thing, but when you see it on the map, put a pin there and go hunt that. Couldn't be further from accurate. It is not just a made-up thing. These lines right here are contour lines. And what they're doing is contouring with the earth. They're depicting what the earth is doing on a map. It also gives you elevation. When you see these contour lines going up, that would be a draw. When they're going down, that would be a spur. When you have a circle, that would be a hilltop. So you have a hill right over here, right here. This is a hill. It has two contour lines in it. This one has 4 or 5. That means this hill has more elevation than this hill over here. The closer these lines are together, the steeper the elevation is going to be. So if you had a cliff, those lines would be close to each other or almost touching, or they would be touching. If they're further apart, then less elevation. So right here, you have 1,660 feet. Contour lines typically go up by 20s. So 1680, 17, so on and so forth. Right here, you see that fat line. This line right here is further apart to this line than this line is to that line. That would be a flatter spot of elevation in this terrain than the rest of this. So if you were, for some reason, hunting this spot, I would set up in this area, right? Hunt the fat line, as they say. Now, what else do deer do? Let's go over a few things. Switch over to first topographic, and I'm going to turn on my LiDAR. All that does is just wipes away the earth as if it was scorched, and all you had left was the land. So it's the best way to see what exactly the land is doing. If you do have Onyx, I'm sure Spartan Forge has the same thing. Let's go back to hybrid. Leaf off imagery gets pretty close as well to what LiDAR does. Not every state has it. I believe 13 states have it right now, mostly in the East and Midwest. So back to topographic and LiDAR. So we know that deer like benches and saddles. What's a saddle? You have this hilltop over here, and you have this hilltop over here. In between, you have a lower point of elevation. That would be a saddle. Once again, when people say hunt the fat line, hunt the saddles, it all goes back to the same exact thing. Deer are lazy animals, so are humans. We're going to take the path of least resistance. If you were over here, this is your point A, and your point B is over here, would you, knowing the lay of the land, because that's where you live, I know you're human, but let's pretend you're a deer for a second, would you walk up this hill, down this hill, up this hill, down this hill, and then up this hill to get to point B? Or would you walk through this low point right here, and then on this bench right here, and then through this low point, basically staying at almost the same elevation the entire time? Like, it looks like you're going up 20 foot of elevation in that spot, and then coming over here to where you need to go. Probably so. Instead of up and down, you're going to take that path of least resistance. Deer also like to stay on benches for bedding because it just has more security. These aren't exactly great spots right here, but let's say this one right here, this bench here, that would be considered to me a compounding terrain feature, which is what I've really been looking for this year, and so far it's been working out pretty good. So a compounding terrain feature, you have this saddle right here, which would technically be a pinch point. This is a saddle too. You got a little bit of a hill right here. So you have two saddles coming in together. And then you also have this bench right here. So with those three being there, I would almost guarantee that if you came to this exact spot, you would probably find sign of deer. From there, what you need to do on the ground, if you do have onX, they have this new feature called Tracker. And then if you don't have that, you're just using regular Google Maps, you can still do the same thing. It's no big deal. If I were actually going to go look at this land, no secret, I just grab a random piece of public land. You got this draw here, which we were there earlier, but then there's that low point all the way through. I would consider that a travel corridor. It's something that I would definitely just go look at and see if deer are walking on it or not. But even if they weren't walking up and down this entire thing, that's fine. I'm willing to bet that these areas where you have the bench, that saddle, this saddle, these crossing points, these intersections, if you will, I'm willing to bet there is animal sign there. And let's say instead of it going to the north exactly, let's say it's going east. That's fine. Let's say you're right here. I'm going to drop a waypoint here, and that waypoint is you. So what Tracker would do is it would be like using build a route. You get to that point right there, and you see some animal sign here. It's a buck track. Yes, you can tell the difference. We can go over that later. You see a buck track, and it's going to the west. Right here. You're going to go west, obviously. You get to this spot and you see a rub. Then you keep going and you see a scrape and another rub and droppings and another rub and another one. And it just keeps going. It would automatically track this route for you. And then you just drop pins along the way. I'm going to add a waypoint, and let's say it was a rub. Right here, you see another rub. Right off of that, you see another rub. And it just keeps going. And then down here, you see bedding. So you would just add that in as you're going along. And that would help you once you get back to the house to see what that animal is actually doing, where he is going. Does a deer's home range extend beyond this probably 8 acres? Absolutely. Look at that. I know what the hell I'm talking about, right? Anyways, you can use this e-scouting, and as long as you know what land nav features do, what they're saying, and then how deer are actually traveling, if you know that they are going to use the path of least resistance, if you know bucks are going to stay up high at night sleeping, and then also they're going to travel along those benches, especially in hill country. So right over here I have another good example on topographic. If you know that, then it's going to save you a lot of footwork. You got this good bench right here, and it's even got that like little travel corridor right there. And then obviously it goes down to the water. So I would put a stand right there, right along here, somewhere in there. And even so, you got another woody wetland up there. And then this even has like a little bit of that looks like a water hole to me. Let's go to hybrid. You do have water there. So we know deer drink water, right? Exactly. That is the fat line, what it actually is on a map, and some of the activity that deer actually do in the woodline and how they would react to terrain. If you would like to know more, feel free to follow me. If you got questions, feel free to ask. Have a good one.